Welcome to a Cameraderie thing. It's not a camera review, but I took a trip to the Outer Banks of North Carolina recently, and it was spur of the moment. This guy was like, "Hey, let's go," and I was like, "Cool, all right," and so I did. And I just like a couple days before I left, I had grabbed a few different film stocks that I haven't tried out. I'm really just getting to the point where I actually starting to understand the differences between brands and what you can do with different film speeds and stuff. So I'm just kind of seeing what's out there, and I use this trip as an opportunity to just kind of do that. And I also had a couple cameras that I took with me. One I've shot a couple rolls with, and the other one I had recently come into it and just figured I'd try it out. And let's see, the two cameras that I brought with me, and I would like to do full reviews on both of these at some point very soon. But the ones I took with me are the Mamiya 500 TL. It's a really kind of a classic look to it. It's an SLR. It is what it is. So I also took the Vivitar 35ES, which this was actually this belonged to one of my best friend's grandfathers. So he passed, and my friend was like, "Hey, you know what? You can just hang on to this because you'll deserves a good home or whatever." And so gladly I accepted. And it's a rangefinder, which is I don't have a lot of experience with rangefinders. I guess the Argus C3 is a rangefinder, but anyways, so is the Konica. Maybe I have more experience with rangefinders than I thought. Whatever the case, this is a simple, lightweight, really subtle sort of camera. So these are the two cameras I took with me. The films that I had just a roll of the Fujicolor 400 that I generally do a lot of shooting with, and that's I took that just because I know how that film behaves and how it reacts and the different colors and stuff that I can get with it and the grain size and all that. So I took that. If you hear any jangling, it's my dog. I took that, and I also had I really want to get into or start to understand black and white photography better. So I got picked up a roll of Ilford HP5. It's like a 36 exposure 400 speed film. Just to kind of see what I can get from it. I also took a Kodak Color Plus. This is a 200 speed film, and I got this because I was pretty sure that going to the beach there'd probably be some really bright days. So I got those, and then I went and shot. So yeah, I think like the day or so before that I left for the trip, I loaded up the Vivitar with my Fujicolor 400, and by the end of shooting that roll, like after I'd gotten to the beach and everything, I kind of really found that I prefer shooting with a rangefinder. I mean, I had already shot a couple rolls with the 500 TL here at home, and I just I don't know. It came time to load this up with a roll of film, and I was like, man, I don't want to be lugging this thing around a hot beach all day. So I just ended up leaving this in my luggage and shot with the 35 ES the whole time. So alright, so these are the pictures I shot approximately
Insert appropriate passage of time here.
ago. These are kind of in basic order. These are in the order of the rolls that I shot, and the pictures themselves might not be in chronological order, but yeah. So these are some of the ones from the. These were all shot with the 35 ES, and this first set of pictures is from the Fujicolor 400. This is the first exposure from that roll, and that's just my friend setting up some racking those balls at a local pool hall bar place, and it's got this like crazy red smoosh through it, and that's just one of the aberrations that I find so intriguing about film photography. I generally push my, well, maybe not push, but I generally try and get as many frames out of a roll of film as I can. So, like, I generally can get between 25 and 27 frames from a 24 exposure, and I actually got 39 out of my HP 5. So it does kind of, you get some weird stuff at the very beginning and the very end of the rolls though because of that. But I like the way it looks. It's kind of a cool aesthetic. This one has nice, pretty interesting levels to it, I guess. And then you got like the shadow from of the fan up there. It's a very moody kind of picture. And this camera does have a 1.7 for its lowest f-stop, which means it's pretty alright in low light situations. And yeah, it said like the meter inside when I shot this picture, just on my feet, whatever. When I shot this one, it said that, oh, you need to use flash, and obviously it could have used more light, but it's definitely not unshootable at very low light situations. I mean, this was in a dark corner of a dark bar at like 12:30. So, yeah, I would have liked to have been able to shoot it at a little faster shutter speed just to get some of that blur out. Of course, I don't know if that was a focus issue or a movement issue, because it being so dark, it was kind of hard to see where the little overlay is. So yeah, let's see. I don't want to talk about that one. I don't want to talk about that one either. All right, this one's cool. This was at a fabulous TGI Fridays in Asheville, and this one just kind of took it off the cuff. I wasn't really planning on it being cool, but when I load up a new camera, I just want to shoot everything. So this actually turned out a lot cooler than I expected. It's got kind of a quadrant based balance. Of course you have the top to bottom, with the bottom being a little murkier and with off the reflective surface, and then of course you have the bright bar lights right here and everything. It just has a nice mood to it. Very obviously very, very red, and I shot it at I think 1/8 shutter speed, but I did set it on the bar, so it was able to remain fairly steady. So yeah. See, this one, I just pulled up to a stoplight, and there was just this gorgeous pre-sunset, and so I just kind of, had my camera handy, so I just snapped it, and it turned out glorious. So, Alright, and here's some at the end of the first roll that I shot with the 35 ES that I'm actually at the beach. So these are just the two people I went with, and just in the hotel room, and I don't know, it's kind of a self-indulgence of a photographer to get a decent mirror shot every now and then. So we went out to the beach that first night that we were there, and I was trying to get, like, you know, those like smooth waterfall effect pictures. I was trying to accomplish that by setting my camera in the sand, which is not, you don't do it, not a good idea. But I set it in the sand so that I could crank the shutter speed down so I could get the smooth water effect. But then a wave came up a lot faster than I expected, and this entire bottom of it, of the picture, is my camera being like that close to getting completely soaked. Let's turn that off. There we go. Alright. So, yeah, that's pretty much the highlights from the first roll of film that I shot with 35 ES. So the next morning, or I guess the first morning that I was there at the beach, I was going to load up the Mamiya, but then I was like, well, we're going to go to Jockey's Ridge, which is this state park with a bunch of sand dunes and everything, and it was going to be a really hot day. I didn't want to lug around like a pound of film equipment, almost. With that lens on there, it's probably like at least 1.25 pounds, and this is maybe like, I don't know, let's see how much it might be like 2 pounds versus a pound, and I think this is actually 12 ounces. That's beside the point. Anyways, I went with this just to kind of, I mean, it wasn't the best idea because at that point I hadn't developed any of the pictures. I didn't know if it was light tight, I didn't know if the focus was way out of whack or anything, but I took a chance and I'm glad I did. Yeah, this first picture right here is this is the first one from the roll, and you can kind of see with the weird exposure stuff going on right there on the left. But this picture actually turned out to be one of my favorites from the roll. It's got a lot higher contrast than I anticipated. It just turned out, I don't think it's a nice kind of snapshot of life, which I like that. So let's go the other way. Out on the dune. Oh, whoops. Let me get my. There we go. Out on the dunes. Before we got to the dunes, actually, there's like, you know, kind of a little touristy, I don't know, education center sort of thing at the state park, and this they had like this display, this dark display of different wildlife that lives in that part of the state, and it would just like light up on, you know, a deer or a little rabbit or toad or something, and I got a picture of it when it lit up on the whatever kind of owl this is, and it turned out pretty cool. It's very stark. This is black and white. There's not much in the way of, you know, mid-tones or anything, and I just think it looks kind of cool. So, I think all these look cool. Now this is actually out on the dunes. This is, you kind of come out towards the back there, but I love the way that like gnarled like driftwood kind of stuff looks, and it makes for nice contrasty pictures with, you know, part of the bark's peeling away, and then you got the bright sun with casting some really cool looking shadows, and you kind of can't tell what's what, and I like that. Plus the driftwood itself is like kind of has a nice little gradual Z-axis going on there, so this kind of, I don't know, I want to like this picture a lot more than I do. You can see the decent details in the shadows there, because that's what I metered for. But I wish you could get the detail with the clouds too. I don't know. I mean, I'm still really new to black and white photography, but I don't know if there's some way I can kind of mess with those settings to get. I mean, it's not like I can shoot an HDR photo with a film camera, so this kind of gives you a sense of the scope of this place. These are the, these are my two friends. We're kind of walking through this pseudo grassy area, but this is one of the ridges. It has a nice momentum to it as far as the style of the composition of the picture goes. But like, those are people. Those are people. It's really kind of a otherworldly place, and yeah, this picture also kind of has a good scope of that, just for being. It feels like you're on Tatooine when you're there, which is pretty cool. I guess if you're a Star Wars fan, it's cool. If not, then it's like a desert, which you don't really think of North Carolina as being a desert place. So it's a different landscape for sure. Let's see. This is kind of a nice portrait of just being, like, kind of just lost in the dunes. We weren't lost in the dunes, but, like, it kind of gets that feeling. It's kind of, the way they're angled, it kind of, looking back a little bit. Well, they're looking, I guess you would say they're looking ahead, but Natalie is kind of, like, towards the left a little bit, so it's kind of drawing your eye left and away, which that's to the western eye, that's kind of saying looking backwards. But this is another picture that didn't turn out quite how I would have hoped. It's this right here is one of the ridges, and then this all up here is supposed to be sky, but I don't know what happened to the exposure, but it's can't really tell the difference between either of them. I mean, it could just as easily be like that, and you wouldn't know the difference. But oh yeah, there are these. There's this guy flying a kite on one of the ridges, and I was like, that's a cool picture opportunity, and it is. Both for very different reasons. Let's see, the one that's kind of in a portrait style has a nice line just bisecting the frame, and then there's these two people right in the middle of it, and you can barely see the kite right there. But this picture, and I think probably even more so the second picture, has a really nice sense of isolation and just aloneness. Not loneliness, but aloneness. I mean, there's these two people together, and they're just flying a kite out in the middle of the sand dunes. Like, nobody around them. Just it's kind of a very calm picture. I don't know. I could analyze these for way too long and probably come up with a more eloquent way of getting my point across, but this picture is cool because I shot it. This picture is it makes pretty good use. I was able to get some decent shadow work going on here. Just the nice silhouettes. I metered. It probably, I think, from what I can tell, the 35ES has an average metering system. So it just kind of takes all the light in the frame and kind of goes from there. As opposed to picking a spot to meter from. But so I was metering mostly for the sky, so that kind of made the people in the frame almost blacked out. Like, you can see a little bit of detail of like the plaid in Jeff's shirt or Natalie's shoes around her shoulder, but I like it. I like the composition there. So here's another one to kind of get the sense of scope of this place, and this is kind of how I was wanting to get a lot of the pictures, with like the dark sand and the light sky. So I mean, that one picture, this picture right here, wasn't able to get that across. But yeah, you can follow the tracks all the way back up, and kind of reminds me of a couple shots from The Force Awakens on Jakku. Where Rey's with the downed Star Destroyer. So, and this one's pretty cool because I like how you can't really tell what's a shadow and what's like the actual leafy, sticky plant thing. Like, yeah, I mean, I was there and I still can't really tell. So, I was a little disappointed because I was hoping to get kind of the sense of the curvature of the path right here. It kind of curves down and away, like after you get past these this hump right there. But I guess that's 2D imagery. So. This one's really nice. I like this one. This one, it's good to see the texture of the water and everything, and then it's just kind of, I'm finding more and more that I like pictures of people, like, it makes it look like there is nothing outside of the frame. And that's something that, I guess that's another thing I've kind of gotten from a lot of Wes Anderson and like Buster Keaton stuff, is that like it's all like what you see in the frame is the world, and if the person, I don't know, it's just kind of that beautiful aloneness that I like. This is where I wish I had a color film stock loaded, and because like there's this nice picture right here with there's like this really colorful hammock and there's a hat and a bunch of other stuff, but that just kind of gets lost in the contrast of the black and white. So it is what it is. So that was the HP 5 from Ilford, and that was probably the role I got the most fun shooting out of, just because it was one of those places where, like, everything I shot, I felt like it was going to be a good picture, which that's always a fun feeling. This next roll of film was the Kodak Color Plus, the 200 speed roll of film that I had, and when I was talking to the guy at Ball Photo about differences in films, he said that generally Fujicolor is going to be more for landscape shots, like picking up the blues and the greens, the cooler end of the spectrum, whereas Kodak, and especially the Color Plus line, is going to be more for people, and because it pulls out like the reds and the really nice skin tones and stuff like that. So yeah. And you can kind of see that here with, I mean, this is just like a blank cement bridge, and it pulls the reds out of the cement right there, and it kind of even, it looks a little like the sky is kind of pink, which is a little strange. But yeah, we went to the aquarium there, and there's the shark tank right here, and I thought this was kind of a strange, it's turned out a lot stranger than I anticipated, because I can't really tell where the mirror starts and where it ends. So I don't know, it turned out pretty cool. Steeper Archie. This one's kind of cool because it looks like a double exposure, but it's not. We're just looking at, it's not an albino alligator, I forget what kind it was, but no, it's just, this is just a reflection of the bench and my friend Jeff right there, like in the glass. But yeah, I think it looks cool. Here you can really see the richness of the skin tones from the Kodak Color Plus, and yeah, I don't know, I think it picks up all the skin tones really, really well. Even the Indian family in the back, I mean, it looks like true to life color, which is pretty cool. And of course, the green leaves and stuff back there are kind of a little yellowed out, but yeah. So I like this picture just because of the composition, really. kind of bisects in the middle right there. Has a total lack of left to right balance, which I find aesthetically pleasing. It kind of balances itself by being empty on one side. I don't like. To me, there's just as much weight because there isn't any weight to it. I don't know. The color plus, I don't know if this was just like the lighting or what in here, but a lot of the stuff in this is like the gift shop at the aquarium, and a lot of the stuff in here was, you know, blues and greens and lighter colors because it's the beach. And there's just a few red things in here, and as a result, it kind of gets muddled together. I don't know if it's just a result of me not having the focus spot on, or just, I don't know. It's kind of a ugly picture to me. So, all right, and last roll. I took 3 rolls down there with me, and I had to get some more because I was like, I don't want to stop shooting. So I picked up. Normally, I would have picked up, some Fujicolor 400 from whatever drugstore or pharmacy happened to be nearby, but took the opportunity to get some stuff I don't ever see around here. So I got the Kodak Ultramax. Just like a regular 400 speed. As far as I can tell, it's just like Kodak's answer to the Superior Extra line that I normally shoot with. So, see, this roll, again, first roll, or first shot of the roll, generally tends to be a little wonky, and I just love this totally organic distortion right there. It looks like a flame, like, I don't know, it just looks so natural somehow. And this, I'm not sure what happened here, because this was a few shots into the frame, or into the roll, and there's just like this streak of light across here. I really don't know what happened. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty cool picture if you can look beyond that. I mean, that's a nice row of boats, and got the tree up there, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of strange with the mark of light through it. So, nope, wrong way. Here we go. I like this shot right here just because it's got a lot going on. It's a lot of stuff to look at. It's a lot of there's a fair amount of open space. There's a lot of clutter. It's to me, it looks pretty dynamic. It's got the immediate foreground. It's kind of got the one boat to the left, and then you got the boat kind of in the mid, and then you got the boat all the way in the back that kind of anchors your point of view. And you can make a lot of different triangles and stuff with your eyes, and I could see, I don't know, Adrian Brody or Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, pick a Wes Anderson star. I could see somebody just kind of walking out on this pier and then just like, I don't know. To me, I get a very Steve Zissou kind of feeling from this picture. So, this picture turned out a lot. This is exactly what I saw when I took the picture, but it turned out to have a very different feeling than what I was going for. I wasn't really going for anything in particular, but this has a very specific mood to me. And by specific, I mean completely arbitrary and kind of hard to define. I have a left to right balance. I generally tend to shoot a lot like that. Either that or like spot on in the rule of thirds. And it kind of does have that going on too. You got the thirds right here, spots for your eyes to look at and balance and stuff. And besides all that, it has two very different momentums to me. It's got, on the left here, there's a boat kind of coming back towards you, and then on the right you have the lines in the wood, and then this boat kind of pulling your eye that way. So it's a very contrast isn't the right word. I don't know what I would say here. It's very it pulls your eyes in different directions, which is something I don't see a whole lot. At least not in my own work. So, well, that's pretty much it. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me ramble for a little bit. I just wanted to kind of talk about my process and just kind of my immediate thoughts on just a new camera and new film stocks. And let me know if you like this kind of thing, or if you don't like this kind of thing. I mean, whether you do or don't like it, I'm probably going to do it again anyways. So, at the risk of sounding trite and contrived, thank you so very much for watching. I can't believe I just said that.